Welcome back everybody, it's nice to see you, but of course it's also nice to be seen. Well, this is a video from a comment I had from Leslie, or Leslie, whatever you want. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Leslie. She wanted to know how I made the pot holder for my kettle video. That was the Eagle Products kettle video. If you haven't seen it, then check back and have a look. So what I thought I had to do today is I'll show how I make it, and of course there's loads of ways to do this, but this is just my way. So without further ado, we're going to go and have a look around and see what we can find for material wise. Right, so what we need to make a pot holder is some nice straight wood. Okay, about thumb thickness is probably a good size to go for. What we're going to use is hazel, because we're in a hazel coppice. I think there's hazel that side, and I know further down there's a lot of chestnut. We're not going to touch the chestnut, we're just going to concentrate on the hazel today. But if you may also notice that spring is definitely in the air, we're starting to see bluebells are out now. There's some white wooden anemones here too, there's some down here, and give it a couple of weeks and this whole woodland will be a sea of blue, and hopefully we'll be able to come back in a couple of weeks and I'll show you. But getting back to what we're supposed to be doing, I've chosen over here right, this piece of wood here is what we're going to use for our long pot holdery bit itself. This is going to be the long bit, so I'm going to cut that, but luckily up there, when we cut this down, we'll be able to use many pieces off it, which is a really good idea. So I'm just going to cut that now and then drag it out. See these bluebells here, look? Nice. Okay, so we're quite lucky on this piece here, because this is going to be our pot holder, but also on here, if you look, when you walk around the woods, it's a good idea just to try and see shapes in the woods. So here, if we cut this here and cut that there, this is going to be our pot holder itself. Then we can use this straight bit to balance off the top of our stick, which I'll show you. So these little, that's obviously a natural hook. There's a natural hook there, a natural hook there. So the wood, even though it may not seem it at first, or seems to be at first, they have got some really handy things that we can use off of it. So I'm just going to cut this up to size, and then we'll start collecting the other bits of our material. Cut that there. Cut that there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay this here. What I normally do is I normally leave this aside, some of this other stuff, and I come back and I use that for other projects, shelter building or whatever, and it's a good idea to sort of keep it nice and tidy so it's not in anybody's way. Well, this one here is going to be the pole. Let's see if you can see. That goes there. This is going to go there, or will go that way, should I say. That'll go that way. Right, so we need to find now a piece of fork to go there so we can put our forks. We need a fork there, and we also need, for our other end, we need like a little peg that we can make up. So I'll put these over here and we'll have a look for a fork. And we found a lovely little forked bit here we're going to put our pole through. So this is going to be the main bit that we stick in the ground, but it's also worth mentioning that this is about thumb thickness. Okay, so if you've got a big cooking pot, this will actually take the weight because it's quite a sturdy stick. I mean, this one here is a bit overkill. Okay, that's a bit too big. I mean, there's a lovely fork up there, but that's way too big. You might, if you're building a shelter, you might want to take that one. But just for cooking, this is another good little one here, but the V's a bit too small. That would have been nice, that one. Again, that's just slightly bigger than thumb thickness. So I'm going to take this one and we're going to use this one, but just so that we're really respectful for what we're doing, we're going to coppice it like the old coppices did in the old days. And what that is that we're going to cut it low and we're going to cut it at an angle. You might have noticed that on the other one. And what that does, it's been proved that it doesn't actually harm the tree, because if you cut it flat, it gets wet, it starts to rot out, and of course it could harm the tree itself, and when obviously we're not into that. So see at the angle, cut it at an angle. There's an old one there from years ago, and as you can see they've cut it slight angle, and it hasn't affected the tree anyway. It's gone on to grow quite well. Right, so I'm going to make a peg now to hold the main rod down, so, or the pole. So this makes a lovely peg. So you've got the peg area be, this is what's going to go in the pole over like that, and this bit here is going to go into the ground. So I'm going to use that as a peg. You'll see what I mean. So I'm going to cut that there, cut that about there, and then just cut that about there. So I'm going to cut that level. This piece here is from the original bit that we cut first of all from our long length, so it's quite handy. We're sort of reusing it really. So I'm going to cut that about there. I'm going to cut that at an angle because it's going to go in the ground. Like so. And then I'm going to cut that about there. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, let's go and see what we got. So what I've done here is I'll set up an imaginary fire pit area, because obviously we're not really going to have a fire. We just demonstrate to how to build a pot holder. So imagine that's our imaginary fire pit area, the one with the logs. So what do we do? Right, so down here, these are all the materials that we need to make our fire pot. So we've got the long length bit, we've got the hook for the pot that goes on there, we've got a stake to stake this down one end, and you'll see why later, and then we've also got our forked bit that takes that there. So what do we do first is that we want to bang this into the ground. So this is where you'll either need a mallet, go check out the video, plug. So what you want to do then is, I'm using the back of my axe and I'm just going to bang this in. What's really good about this fork here is that when we bang on this area here, literally the force is going to go down there. Sometimes when you've got a V like that and you start doing that, sometimes they tend to want to split apart. Not all the time, but sometimes. So this one here is perfect. So I'm just gonna imagine now I want it about there. Okay, so okay, that's pretty good. So we take our long pole, place it in the ground like so. If this isn't in far enough, when you put this down, this to probably want to push out. So I'm going to bring that around a bit more there. That's pretty good. Make sure it's level. Okay, we can trim this up in a minute, so I'm going to trim that up in a minute, so that's there. Okay, this here, will go on the end here, like so, anywhere there. You can put it on the end, you can put it there, and see how that V there just holds that stick in place. It's deep far enough. So when we come back up to this end here, so when we got our pot on there, and that goes on there, which we'll do in a second. So if I push a bit of weight on there now, that's not going to pop up the other end, that's why that holds it down. Okay. Okay, so what I need to do now is I need to make some cuts in this. Put like an X in it and cut it out, and then same up here so it makes it adjustable. Okay, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to probably pull this through a little bit more. I'll probably have it more there. That's probably a better size there. Luckily we can move that far. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to cut some V's in there, I'm going to level that off, and then we're going to sit it on the top, we're going to get our pot, and then we're going to try it. So let's go and cut some V's in it. Right, so what I want to do then, oh, my log's a bit wobbly, it don't help. So what I want to do is I want to be on this side with the X's, because this here is going to face the fire, and the pot's going to be here, the pot holder's going to be here. So this doesn't want to be on the outside, because it'll tend to want to go like that. To balance it and get the weight right, it's got to be on the inside. So you'll see what I mean in a second. So what I'm going to do then, I want one quite high up and I want one quite low down. You can have 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what we want to do then is we start off by just putting a simple, deep, hard as you can X in it like that. That's one way. Okay, that way. I put one there. I'm going to put one here. You can actually be more precise and do it with your pot and measure it all out and whatever, but I'm just sort of just going through the motions of giving you a rough idea. So it's 2, and I'll probably go for one up here. Okay, make sure it's there. Make sure they're all sort of roughly lined up. Okay, so what we want to do, okay, we want to keep that and get rid of all this. Keep that, get rid of all that, and so on and so forth. So what we want to do then, what I do is I start up here, and all I want to do is cut away, but be careful not to cut that bit out there, you'll see in a minute. And what I normally do when I do this, I just keep redoing the X like that. Just roll it, keep the knife still, and move the wood. Okay. Okay, I'm being careful not to cut too much off the edge there, so I want to I normally sort of take it in at a slight angle. I'll show you in a second. and work these down a bit. I wouldn't go more than halfway through, because obviously you're just going to weaken the stick up if you do that. Okay, so you should have something like this. There, you got your V there, and that should be something like that, and that's going to sit on your top of your log like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. So what I do is I bash these other ones out, and then we adjust the other one. Alright, so we got our V's. So we got our 3 V's on there. Okay, dear, not too bad. They're pretty well lined up. Okay, so that's our thing. So that's our pot holder itself. So what we need to do now is we need to go and adjust the actual long bit, and then that should take that. So right, so I'm gonna have to shave that down a bit, because if you can see, that wants to go on there like that. So I need to take that level out of there, and I need to flatten that off there on there, so that sits on there, which is no biggie. This probably is a little bit too thick maybe, but we work with what we got. See if you can see, 1, 2, 3. Right, so I'm going to level that off with my axe and take a bit more off of there, and to sort of make that into like a chisel point, and then that should work out quite well. Pin's so good down, it's holding it hard. So turn that. Okay, not done too bad. Let's just put my pin back. Sheath my axe away, obviously, because it wants to safety first and all that malarkey. So that's better. That's much better. Okay, what I normally do is put like a little depression in there, so those little bits fit in there. I might just take that back a little bit more, so that sits in there a little bit more, and then I can have my thing there. So what I'm going to do is we'll come back, and I'm going to take a bit more out of there, we'll come back, and then we'll just put a little bit on there and we're done. So right, so I need to work out where my little dip's got to go. It's about there, I'd say. Get my knife ready. About there, let's say about there. Okay, so I'm just gonna literally do that. That's all I'm doing. Just want to put a little hole in it. Okay, that's all it needs. Right, now the proof is in the pudding, as they say. So I've got my pot, got my handle, as you can see, so that will go in there like so. And the good thing about this mechanism, because it's like that and you've got the pot like that, I mean obviously your fire is going to be here. when it starts to boil, sometimes that sort of shimmies around a little bit, but you can see the process in it. And then obviously I think with the spacing of these, it's a case of working it out. I probably would have had another one there, and probably had one there. Yeah, so if you want to put that, obviously that's probably a bit too low, or you can hire that up. That goes there. Look, obviously that's almost on the ground. It's alright, we've got coals there. Yeah, so that works pretty well. You could probably have it up there, but mostly I'd probably definitely have it there, because that's probably the height I wanted to use it the most. If you've got the fire here, and that's pretty good. So that is all there is to it really. So we'll just quickly run over. So you've got your main stick here, which holds the pot, which has got your adjusters. I say I'd probably have one there and one there. This one's probably a bit too low, to be fair, but that gives you an idea there. Obviously that one there, and then you have your main stick here, which is the holder itself. Okay, that again, everything is changeable. You don't have to have it that long. You can have this back here if you wanted to. You know, you can have the height, different height if you wanted to. So we got the stick, which is the fork stick. Well, don't forget that really wants to be sort of more that way, but that's fine, that works. And then at the end there, we've got the peg holding it down like that, which is the pegger. Because if you didn't have that peg, stating the obvious, you've got some water or food in there, that would just pop up and that would just fall into the fire. But that is as easy as it gets, and you can resave these. You can put them somewhere and they dry over time, and then you can just keep reusing them in a fixed camp scenario, or if you're just staying here the night, you can just knock one of these up. These are quite good, they don't take that long. What's that? Didn't take long at all really, less than an hour to sort of knock all that up, so which is pretty good. So yeah, it's pretty good. I'll have a look around, make sure I like it. So there you go, there it is, Leasley, all done. So thanks for leaving that comment in the kettle video. That's as easy as it is. It doesn't need to be any more than that. That is it basically. It's pretty good, and when it actually, obviously because we haven't got a fire, but sometimes if you're lucky enough just so it swings like that, when it boils you get this little shake there, and that's pretty cool. So you can tell when the old water's boiling. So that's pretty cool in itself. So that is it. So with that said, thanks for watching everybody, and get out there and do some bushcraft. But if you would like to leave a comment, we'll have a chat. That's always good, because I like chatting with people that watch. Any questions, anything like that, or just any comments really. Like and subscribe, hit the like button, would be really cool. It all helps at the end of the day. It just means that what I'm doing is being noted, of course I'm sure it is. So with that said, I sit in front of my pretend fire waiting for my water to boil. Oh, it's boiling. Oh, time for tea.